We are back, another episode of Chef's Kiss. It's a special Friday episode. We're going to be covering NFL Championship Weekend, MLB Hall of Fame, Bears new hire, everything, dude. I was with Conor McGregor yesterday. That was pretty dope. I'm going to be at Jason Kelsey's show today. So a big Philly weekend, dude. Big Philly weekend. Big fight on Saturday night. I'm excited for that. So a lot going on here in Philly. John, how's it down in Chi-Town?
Do you ever think about that you moved to Philly at like the best possible time when the Eagles became really good and also the Phillies too, and have a bunch of awesome stars like Harper and Schwarber? Like, you moved there at such a perfect time. It'd be like moving to Chicago in 2012, where you can get a couple of the Blackhawks championships and then ride the Cubs championship wave. You hit that perfectly.
I did, and that's if you don't know who I am or understand me. I find myself having to justify that all the time because they are so passionate here in Philly. It's almost like a gatekeeping kind of community. Like, if you're not from here or you're not a lifelong Eagles fan, we don't want you. I've run into people like that.
Very territorial in Philly.
Very territorial if you're not from like Philly proper. Like, I'm in South Jersey, dude. I'm literally 20 minutes from the stadium. They're like, that's not Philly. I'm like, I know it's New Jersey, but like, I'm 20 minutes away. It's like, if you're a Cubs fan and you're like, you're from Buffalo Grove, dude, you're from Joliet, you're not a Cubs fan. It's like, bro, we get the same radio stations, we have the same news. Like, what are we doing? But yes, dude, like, that's why it was so easy to fall in love with these teams, with the Phillies, with the Eagles. I moved here at a awesome time where I'm passionate about baseball and football. So yeah, it was really easy to, especially I rooted for a football team that gave me nothing my entire life. The Bears gave me nothing, John. They gave me a Super Bowl appearance, and that is it. Nothing. I've got no joy from them in my life.
Mostly sadness.
Right, yeah. Mostly sadness and embarrassment. And then I come to a new city and very rich in football culture, and they're very good at the time. And I was with my wife. We watched the Super Bowl in 2017. Like, I moved here 4 years ago, but I've been involved with Philly stuff for longer than that. So I do, have it to justify myself sometimes. I'm like, if you don't know who I am or know my story, or I'm from Chicago and I moved here, like, it's very easy to fall in love because the teams were awesome when I got here. It should be an achievement for your city, for your teams. It's saying like someone can move here from another great city who's been a fan his entire life and still fall in love with team. That's a testament to your culture and your teams, instead of being like, fuck this guy, he's not an Eagles fan. It's like, dude, I'm here supporting you guys now. Like, I enjoy this city, I enjoy the vibe. So
yeah, I think Philly might be a little bit more territorial than Chicago. Like, if you come to Chicago 100%. And you're a Bears fan, people will be like, great, awesome. We love the Bears. We know we suck, but you're one of us, and we'll take you in. Versus, like, if I ever moved to Philly, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm from the Main Line, which is like a collection of posh suburbs outside of Philadelphia. I'd be like, oh yeah. Like, yeah, I would have to like kind of lie. St. Louis is like that too. I went to grad school in St. Louis, very territorial. Like, what high school did you go to? I'm from Chicago, and then they immediately discount you.
Right. But the one difference here is the dialect can already tell you that you're not from here without even having to say anything. Because I don't sound like all these Delco dudes. You're like, yo, grab a hoagie, go over to Wawa. And I'm just like, yo, forget about it. They're like, this guy's not from here. So that's,
we don't know you, bro. We don't know you.
Right, exactly. So I really don't give a shit, dude. I like supporting these teams. They're fun. They're great. I'm a new fan. Like, is nobody able to become a new fan? You know what I mean? John, when you were in LA, you bought Dodgers gear. Like, you moved to a new culture.
I bought this in LA. Full disclosure. Right. It is a Jackie Robinson commemoration because 2017, because he broke the color barrier in 47. So it was like a collector's item. I'm like, of course I'm going to wear it. Yeah.
The Brooklyn Dodgers.
All right, let's get into it. NFC, AFC Championship. Philly, let's start in the NFC. We have the Commanders at Philly.
Yeah.
I don't want to toot my own horn. I totally predicted that the Commanders would upset the Lions, which totally happened.
Check the tape.
And here's the thing. I'm taking, if I had to bet, I probably would still take Philly, but not by much. And I'll tell you this, the way Sirianni mismanaged the end of that game last week, he almost blew that game trying to give Fields a little bit more autonomy when he knew Fields was hurt and couldn't really move and was immobile, versus every time you give it to Saquon Barkley, he could take it to the house potentially, which is, I don't know why you just weren't feeding him the ball. So the indecision and some of the issues with Sirianni late in games concerns me, which is why if I had to bet, I'd probably still take Philly by a little bit, but I would not be surprised if Washington comes in and beats them. I really would.
John, who's on the other side of Sirianni? A man named Dan Quinn. Remember what happened to Dan Quinn?
He's also a terrible coach. He could also screw up too.
Yeah, he has in a major fashion.
Major way, yeah.
He
was the head coach of the Falcons when they blew the, 24-3 lead?
28-3, I thought.
28-3, yeah. So both coaches are, but who's the better quarterback? It's Jaden Daniels. I think Washington could win this game.
Okay.
What do you think?
Let me ask you this. Is anybody in Kansas City worried about Patrick Mahomes throwing for under 200 yards? Is anybody in Buffalo saying Josh Allen only threw for 140 yards? We're really concerned. Are those two fan bases saying that? And why would you say the same thing for Philly? Because that's what I hear here in Philly. Jalen's not throwing. He's under 200 yards. Okay, they're winning. And would you say that about Mahomes? Would you say that about Josh Allen? Is that a valid point?
Yeah, Mahomes gets the benefit of the doubt because he's won more. Hurts doesn't.
This narrative of not being able to throw.
I think it's somewhat unfair to Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts wins a lot of games. It's not always in the prettiest fashion, but neither has Mahomes, certainly this year. But Mahomes, they don't really say that about Mahomes because there's a lot more trust with Mahomes versus Fields, and that's basically because. Or Hurts, excuse me. Yeah. And that's basically because he doesn't have a championship. He doesn't have that resume to fall back on.
You could argue in the Super Bowl he did outplay Patrick Mahomes.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I think Washington is just on a heater right now. Mm-hmm. I don't think Dan Quinn's a great coach, but I don't think Sirianni is either, where you have two mediocre coaches, so it's not like you have an Andy Reid and a Dan Quinn where someone's going to get out-coached, and it's obviously going to be Dan Quinn. So that's why I think Washington could definitely come in and beat this team. And if Saquon Barkley doesn't get at least 30 carries, Sirianni should be fired. Like, that is like malpractice. Like,
John, what about the
ball?
Last two times they played each other? First time, Philly won. Second time, Commanders barely won, and Jalen Hurts played 5 minutes of that game, and then they had two backup quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee, come in and play the rest of that game, and they still almost won. So from that tape, from what I've been looking at, it's not super concerning.
I'm concerned that Hurts isn't 100%, and so much of his game is predicated on running. That is a huge concern for me if I'm a Philly fan.
Sure, but the Eagles' ability to put together 6, 7, 8-minute drives and keep the Commanders off the field, relying on that number one defense to get 3 and out, I think that's going to be really difficult. If the Eagles can just grind the ball and time a possession and keep. I did a video earlier about the Commanders. If they have over 100 yards rushing in a game, John, they're 13-2. If they have under 100 rushing yards, they're 1-3. So right. I think that is a big thing if you're going to force Jaden Daniels, keep him contained in the pocket, keep him away from rushing, and forcing him to be that guy. I think that the Phillies defense has the upper hand there. And I'm
with you on that because here's what I think. I think Philly can get pressure without blitzing with Jalen Carter. They can get pressure with 4. That's helpful if you're playing Kirk Cousins. Right. That's helpful if you're playing a quarterback that really can't move. So Jared Goff, Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, someone who's really immobile. Jaden Daniels is not that. So I think I'm less concerned about the pressure, the front four, which I think they will get. I'm more concerned with who's spying Daniels, because I think Daniels could really hurt you with his legs in this game, and might do so if he's getting pressured with 4. Who are your linebackers? Who's going to run him down? That's really the key, is like containing the run. And do you have 1 or 2 spies, or are you confident in your linebacker is going to be able to catch him? He's super elusive.
Sure.
He's so skinny too. Like,
yeah.
It's almost like Vince Young sometimes. He's like running, and you're like, he's not that fast, but then people aren't catching him, and he just kind of slides, and he never takes a big hit. Mahomes is really good about that too, just knowing when to run. It's just he's got some intangibles that are pretty impressive, I have to say, for a rookie.
Two stats that made me feel confident. A rookie quarterback has never been to a Super Bowl, ever. Also, since 2000, this is going to be the Commanders' 4th road game, and this is going to be the Eagles' 5th home game. Playing your 4th straight road game or more since the year 2000, straight up, teams are 0-7. Against the spread, they're 1-5-1. So if you're playing your 4th, 5th, 6th game on the road consecutively in the playoffs, that team has never won. And those are just trends. They really don't mean anything because every team is different. There's different variables. But
what's the spread?
I didn't look at it. If it's moved,
it's probably Eagles. What, 2.5?
What is it at right now?
Is it higher than that?
6. -6.
-6. Man, dude. I mean, the Eagles are so talented, but
I'm not taking that spread. I wouldn't take that spread.
I wouldn't take that spread. No way, man.
Yeah.
Not after what the Commanders did.
Sure. It is going to be. I'm curious to see how healthy Jalen Hurts is running the ball himself, because
to me, that's the whole game for me.
Just as Jaden Daniels is elusive, so is Jalen Hurts. It's going to come down to the health of his legs and how effective his running can and will be in the tush push too. They rely on that so heavily on 4th downs. So, dude, we'll see. I do feel confident. I feel that the Eagles are the better team. The Commanders are ascending, man. They've been very impressive. Take nothing away from that.
Yeah, Eagles are a better team. Eagles are, out of the NFC, might be the most talented team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're definitely the better team. But who's going to win?
Sure.
I would not be surprised if Washington won.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, I think it all depends on Hurts's health.
Yeah. Final score, John, I'm going to go 24-17 for Eagles Commanders. Eagles are going to win that game 24-17.
I'm going to go 23-20 Eagles.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, I can see a field goal game.
You also have some kicking issues. Thought about that?
Big. Yeah, you can't put your trust in Jake Elliott.
Field goals are going to be huge in this game. You cannot
John,
miss field goals.
They've been calling him Missy Elliott.
That's so good. Yeah. So it's just right there.
Yeah. Yeah, so
perfect.
You cannot put your fate of the team in Jake Elliott's hands right now if you're missing PATs. Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be territory where they always have, 4th downs they're going for, but I am not super worried, especially a younger team like the Commanders, no experience. Props to Jaden Daniels, but this is the biggest moment of his career. So we'll see how that pans out, but I do have the Eagles, like I said, 24-17. I'll call that.
Yep. Let's move to the AFC. Bills at Chiefs. Once again, classic matchup, 2 best teams in the AFC. We're probably going to see this matchup again in the AFC Championship for probably the next 6 to 8 years at least. Is it time for Josh Allen to ascend and beat Mahomes? That's the key.
Yeah. I want to. I want to see it. I
want the Bills. Trust me, I'm sick. No offense. I'm sick of Philly and KC.
Nobody
Super Bowl
wants to see that, John. I don't think anybody in the country outside of Kansas and Missouri and New Jersey and Pennsylvania want to see a Chiefs
100%.
Super Bowl. Nobody does. So Viewership, I don't know how that's going to get affected. I mean, everybody watches the Super Bowl regardless, but the country would not be happy seeing those two teams in it.
I agree. I'm taking the Chiefs. I don't. If I bet or if I take, like, I'm not betting against Mahomes.
He's giving you no reason not to. Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes have never given you a reason to not trust them in a big game. And that's what it comes down to, quarterback play and coaching. I think when you're in these important big games, the quarterback and the coaching decisions are that small variable that makes a difference.
Yeah, it's just that in late games that championship DNA comes out. I was when I work out, I rewatch The Last Dance, which is the Chicago Bulls documentary on Netflix, and Reggie Miller was talking about that. They're like, we were a better team in 97 or 98 when we played them in the Eastern Conference Finals, but he goes, it's just championship DNA. He goes, you see it a lot with Steph Curry too. Like, they just, at the end of games, they just know how to win. It might not always look pretty, but Jordan had that, and I think Mahomes has it. I've seen it too many times where he's not great, he hurts his ankle, he's kind of limping, but then he finds a groove, he makes a couple plays, he knows when to run. Maybe the best quarterback I've ever seen to know the exact perfect time to run. I'm not betting against him. I'm taking that. I'll take the Chiefs probably by three points. I mean, obviously it's going to be razor thin, but in Kansas City, that's such a loud, tough place to play. I think Allen's going to be awesome. I think you're going to get another classic game. And the other thing, like I said on our last pod, I knew they were keeping Kelsey in the garage for the playoffs.
Yep, you did.
Took that tarp off him and let him loose, and he was great. And so that's another issue that you have to worry about, which I thought the entire time. I go, Kelsey's got a little more juice left than people think, but they're saving it. They're rationing it for when they need it, and they used it, and they're going to use it again.
And I think that's also part of going into the playoffs and not showing teams your entire playbook, all that you have to offer. And we saw it with like the Lions with the shovel pass, pitch, those end around tosses. Like towards the end of the season, you're like, hey, we got this in our playbook and we are down by 4. We need a big play and we're going to pull that out. We don't want teams to see it, but this is, we got to use our ammo. So exactly like what you said, we're not going to show it all season or, for a while. And then, like you said, take the tarp off and this is the game that we need you.
Yep. All right.
I can see Josh Allen making one mistake at the end and that costing them the game. The gunslinger mentality, I don't know. I mean, Chiefs are up or down. I could see maybe Josh Allen having to put a drive together at the end of the game, forcing a ball into coverage, and that might be the biggest mistake.
I feel that wrong. Too. Now, I get what you're saying, and I think you're spot on because he wants it so badly. And I think he's been better this year because he has been more conservative. But I think, like how depending on who you're playing, your brain just breaks depending on who your opponent is. And I just think because it's Mahomes, he's going to think, I've got to do more. Like, I know I've been playing conservatively this entire year. This is why we've won. Because I haven't turned the ball over. But I think because it's Mahomes, I think he's going to try to do a little too much, possibly fumble, and I could see a late turnover killing them in the second half because he's just trying to take it upon himself because it's Mahomes. Because if it was any other team, he wouldn't necessarily do it. But he knows, I've lost to this guy so many times by a sliver. Fuck it. I'll take it myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I really hope I'm wrong. And he's so big and massive. I hope he does take off and just starts running people over. But I could see that as just another clip of the Bills going down to the Chiefs is just kind of a late mistake that he makes throwing the ball into some coverage. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
God be with Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld.
I know. Moving to baseball. Hall of Fame inductees 2025. So these are the players that were inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. No surprise, Ichiro, Billy Wagner, and CC Sabathia.
Yeah. very, very happy about this induction, John. I'm not a big fan of like a big Hall of Fame, but all of these guys very well deserved. Obviously, 2 first ballot Hall of Famers, which is it speaks to their influence on the game of baseball and how great they were. 2 first ballot Hall of Famers, and then obviously, we have one in their last year of eligibility, which was cool to see too. I think that's why he was so emotional. But very happy about the class. Some obvious, things that kind of rub you the wrong way. Doesn't matter, no, but these writers, John, and I would like to get your input. My point of view is I think players and managers should be voting on who's in the Hall of Fame. That is your game. That is a game that you played. You played against these guys, and they played for you. They should be the ones voting players in because there are intangibles that don't show up on FWAR and OPS and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's proof positive that if 393 writers and voters vote for Ichiro and 1 doesn't, I think it's just proof positive that not everybody's deserving of a vote because there's no way you could justify that.
Yeah, I agree. There should be, yes, like you got to have the numbers to back up a Hall of Fame consideration. But I do think on the committee, there should be former players or former managers. Maybe not their manager, but other managers or other players in the game. Sort of like you have a quantitative analysis from the writers. Yeah, and give them a qualitative analysis. Like, yes, this guy was great, but like what made him great? You know what I mean? Like, and have that be part of the consideration. So I agree because I think there are intangibles that do make certain players great. Derek Jeter was great player, but he was particularly great in the playoffs. Some people just shine when the light is brightest. Bryce Harper is a great postseason performer. Kurt Schilling, that matters. David Ortiz, that matters. Andy Pettitte. So, yeah, just a couple of stats like Ichiro, 10-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glover, Rookie of the Year, MVP, 311 batting average, over 3,000 hits, over 500 stolen bases. CC, 6-time All-Star, 1 Cy Young, career ERA 3.74, 251 wins, over 3,000 strikeouts. And Billy Wagner. Dude, I was obsessed with Billy Wagner growing up. 1, because he's like 5'10" and a lefty, which is like what I am. Now, obviously, I didn't throw 100 miles an hour, but 7-time All-Star, relief man of the year, career ERA 2.31, career ERA 422 saves. Because I was so obsessed with him, and he's a shorter guy, but really strong legs and generated a lot of power. One of the reasons he was able to throw so hard by being smaller is because, this is super nerdy, but I was obsessed with him. When you throw a baseball and your arm goes back like this, his arm, like his elbow, could rotate like parallel to the ground. So he would get insane like flex and torque and follow through. So like his arm, some people can go like to here. His left arm would go from here and then there, like in a split second. Mm-hmm. That's how he generated so much of his power.
2 things I think that I don't know if some people know. Ichiro came to Major League Baseball when he was 27 years old, John. He had a full career in
crazy.
Japan. Full career. He came over at 27 years old and still had a Hall of Fame career, which is insane. And
an amazing defender. Like arm, speed, like everything. I was just watching some of his highlights on MLB.com. He's incredible. And some guys said, several players, because I've listened to a couple podcasts, they're like, if Ichiro wanted to, Ichiro could have done whatever he wanted in this game, but Japan really emphasizes making contact, getting on base. But they're like, we would watch Ichiro batting practice, and he could be like, I'm going to hit a home run to the second deck in right field, and he could do it. He goes, now I'm going to hit a home run over here, and he could do it. Like Ichiro easily could have been a home run hitter.
Yeah, where he was going to go.
He was that talented. Yeah,
able to place it. What was I going to say? Give me 1 second. Billy Wagner. You know he broke his arm as a child. He was a right-handed thrower. Broke his arm, and then he learned to throw with his left hand. And then that's how he kept it, obviously. So that was pretty cool, too. Just like a cool story. Hey, you break your arm. Now he's got to learn how to throw with his left hand and still has an amazing career. So very happy with the class. I think it's a very good class. CC Sabathia, if you guys don't know, there's a story. CC Sabathia was playing against the Rays, I believe, in one of the last games of the season. He had a stipulation in his contract. If he's pitched X amount of innings, he would get a $500,000 bonus for hitting X amount of innings. The Rays and Yankees kind of were going back and forth with getting hit by pitches. CC Sabathia came in the dugout and asked somebody, who do you want? And then he went out and hit the next guy and said, that's for you bitches, and forfeited the $500,000 because he got thrown out of the game just to have his teammates back. Also, the Yankees paid him that money regardless because he had his teams back. Who doesn't want that guy on your team? That's just an awesome team.
I remember when he did that and he hit him and then he just was talking mad shit the entire time back to the dugout. He hated the Rays.
He said, that's for you bitches.
That was awesome. Love CC. Great personality too. Good ambassador for the game. So happy with multiple teams too.
Cleveland, Milwaukee, Brewers, Yankees.
And World Series champion. Next, I want to get into... Well, first, let me ask you, have you ever impersonated someone 24 times to bet on their behalf and to steal $17 million?
I didn't, and if I did,
could you impersonate someone successfully 24 straight times?
You know what, John? I think he got away with it. Do you know why I think he got away with it?
Ibe Mazzara, Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, impersonated Shohei Ohtani 24 times. This just came out, and tried to obtain a wire transfer of $200,000 from Ohtani's bank, saying to his bookie and through everyone that it actually, in fact, was Shohei Ohtani when it obviously wasn't.
Do you know why he got away with it? Or why I think? It's because he's Asian. It's because if you're the Chase representative on the other line and someone goes, hey, can I have a $200 million? And then you're going to be like, is this really Shohei? I think it was, they spoke Japanese. English wasn't their first language. And they heard someone of Asian descent over the phone. And it would be politically incorrect for you to question whether they were the real person or not. That would be like my guess, honestly, because that's the world we live in. And I guess it would make sense because if you're already an Asian guy and you don't speak English and you're pretending to be another Asian guy who doesn't speak English, who's going to call you out on that?
I agree. I think that's what happened. He stole almost $17 million, impersonated him 24 times, and audio recording always referred to himself as Shohei Ohtani. His sentencing is scheduled for February 6th. If convicted, sounds like he's going to be because there's audio evidence, federal prosecutors requested a 57-month sentence for him, as well as restitution to Ohtani and the IRS.
Do you know if we extradite people back to their, is he going to get extradited back to Japan?
I don't think so.
I thought
because this happened when the Angels and the Dodgers. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I think if he gets sent back, John, that's going to be worse for him. If you are a disgraced person and you embarrass yourself in the United States, across the world, and then you get sent back to Japan, I don't think you're going to be good.
Well, I think if he had it his way, he would not want to go back to Japan and rather serve a sentence here because there's no larger dishonor than doing that than going back to your home of Japan, which has far stronger morals than this country we live in. So it would be way worse if he had to go back to Japan where everyone completely reveres Shohei Ohtani. I'd be like, please let me do my time in Orange County.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last topic. I know we're going to get out of here. I know we're short on time. Good luck at your Kelsey event tonight. I'm anxious to see how that goes. Everyone check out Sheffield Shuffler on Instagram, TikTok.
No phones allowed. No phones allowed in the recording.
What?
So yeah. everybody's got to either check their phone in or I don't know. But yeah, you can't have your phone in there. So I think you could take pictures outside, but once you get in, they don't want stuff going to social media.
Well, I'm sure you'll get some good stuff eventually. I want to get your reaction. You're a Chicago Bears fan. Originally, yes, you root for Philadelphia now. That's totally fine. But you're from Chicago. You're from here. You're a Bears fan. They recently hired the offensive coordinator of the Lions, Ben Johnson, as their head coach, something that I did not want to happen because he was clearly the best candidate. As a Packer fan, this is what I feared the most. I think you guys nailed it. For once, you made the correct move. How are you feeling about it, and are you optimistic for the future?
No, John, not optimistic. Was it a great move? Yeah,
you're
sure.
Dude, you're the biggest pessimist ever.
John,
ever.
What reason do the Chicago Bears give me that they would do anything, even if they made the right decision? They got Caleb, right decision. Rome Odunze, right decision. But what does that translate to, John? What has that translated to, even if you make the right decision? First off, you never make the right decision. You're not good at drafting. And then you bring in these coaches and offensive coordinators. That's great. I'm glad you brought in a competent offensive coordinator who's going to be the head coach now, who you better let call plays. And, he's not going to be like a Sirianni or a Dan Campbell. He's got to be like an Andy Reid. I'm calling the plays. This is what we're doing. But, John, I'll believe it when I see it, dude. I'll believe it when I smell it. I'm not excited. I'm not, this doesn't change anything. That's Caleb Williams still has to learn a new offensive scheme. They still need to protect him. That doesn't change the 9 sacks he takes during the game. So, no, it doesn't change anything for me. I'm happy for you. Good luck. But until I see it, dude, no, you're still losers. Am I wrong?
Man,
we're living in hypotheticals. Like, he's great with the Lions. It's great. That's awesome, dude. The McCaskies and the Chicago Bears don't do anything ever. Why would I believe it? The same reason you don't bet against Mahomes is the same reason why I don't trust the Chicago Bears ever. Track record.
I get it. I just thought you'd be more excited about it.
No, I'm over that, John. I'm over that.
I really did. I thought you'd be more excited about it.
Justin Fields. Ooh, Caleb Williams. No, John Fox. Ooh, Mark Trestman. Ooh, dude, I'm over it, dude. It's a carousel every 2 years. You see it every year. It's a carousel. I'm not buying in. I think
this guy might be different.
Oh, okay.
I mean, listen, I hope he fails miserably as a Packer fan.
Right. I don't.
I hope he fails miserably.
I don't believe it, John. That's great. I'm glad. It doesn't change protection. You're not protecting your quarterback anymore with a new offensive coordinator. He's not advancing from last season because he has to learn a new offensive scheme. Where am I wrong? I haven't seen it. It's just infuriating, John. It's like your father who divorced your mom, and then he lives with in another state, and he's always calling, "Hey, John, yeah, we're going to the Cubs game today." "Oh, really, Dad? Oh man, I'm excited." And the guy never shows up. Angels in the outfield. "Dad, when are we gonna be a family again?" "When the Angels win the pennant." Like that guy. That's the Chicago Bears. Constant disappointment, dude.
If I may quote the JP. It could happen.
Yeah.
It could happen. Yeah. All right, man. Let's end on that. I think I don't. You've been abused your whole life. All Bears fans are PTSD. I get it. I understand, but I think. John, I think this is different. I think this guy's different. I think they're going to be better. I think this guy is different. This is hands down the smartest. Best hire since I've been alive for a Bears head coach that I can remember. And he's very impressive. And his offense with the Lions, with a quarterback who is not half the quarterback as Caleb Williams, and what he was able to do was quite impressive. And how he's able to keep defenses on their heels. Now, I don't know what he's going to do defensively, but he is going to improve this team and improve that offense and really help Caleb Williams. So if I'm a Bears fan, I'm very excited about it. As a Packer fan, I just hope the trend continues where we continue to beat you guys.
Yeah, can he play guard? Can he play tackle? Because that's where the real issues are, dude, in my opinion.
That's where Ryan Poles comes in, a former offensive lineman who can't draft offensive linemen. Like, that's a problem. Might want to work on that.
Where's Roberto Garza? Where's Olin Kreutz? Get those
Big
guys
Cat
in
Williams.
the building, dude.
Big Cat Williams.
Get those guys drafting guys. Those are the guys that know how to. I mean, I see the Bears fans, dude. I feel like you're just so dumb. They're just like optimistic, wide-eyed. Every time they get a new toy, it's distraction from what's been going on. If you want to be happy, that's fine. I'm not going to shit on your parade, but come on, man, smarten up, dude. It's the same song and dance every year. It's the same song and dance. Like I said, carousel. It's a carousel.
You've been wounded, and I feel sorry for you. I'm sorry.
That's why I'm switching allegiances, dude.
You're like, look at all the Eagles gear. I'm over it. You're like, I'm about to play the NFC Championship game, maybe the Super Bowl.
Yeah, dude, get out of here with that stuff. Worrying about 4 wins. Get out of here.
All right, man. I got a piece. My son's on the other side of the door, and he could burst in here at any moment.
Nice. All right, guys.
Which he does all the time.
I'm sure. I know once you start seeing that door handle jiggling, it's game over.
Yeah.
All right, John. We will see you next week.
Cool. Go Birds.